Good afternoon. I have to apologise. I speak not a word of Dutch or any other European language other than English. I'm a typical Englishman. We're hopeless, absolutely hopeless at languages. This is the problem when you live on an island. You forget that there are other people. In fact, when I was a child, I heard there was a lot of fog. We had a lot of fog back in those years. And a message came over the radio. It said, "Fog in the English Channel. Europe is isolated." Nothing's changed. We still have this island mentality. So I apologize. I must also apologize that normally when I go to an event like this, I either don't sit and listen or I have some notes about what other people have said. Well, I've listened to and looked at a very interesting presentation from Canon and understood about 2% of it. And what I normally do is add some of the comments that I've heard before into my presentation. Unfortunately, I can't do that because I don't know what he said. All right. So, Case said to me, "Can you come along and talk at the assembly?" I said, "Well, yes, but what do you want me to say?" Well, he said, "I'm not sure." So I said, "Well, neither am I." So we were in trouble. However, we worked something out, and I've heard lots of stories about the printing industry. Most of them are rubbish. I've heard lots of stories about paper. Rubbish. There is so much rubbish spoken about all aspects of our industry. It's not helped by the fact that Intergraph, which is an organization that represents the printing industry to the EU, carried out a survey. They were paid €250,000 for the survey. And they came back and they said to the commissioners, printing is finished. We're going to have 167,000 redundancies in Europe because all these printing companies are going to be shut down. And do you know, the EU believed them to such an extent that also the UK government believed them, and probably the Dutch government as well. Very sad, really, because, again, it's rubbish. The printing industry has been here for a very long time, and it's going to continue, but it will change. It will evolve. There will be some dramatic changes also, but it's going to be here for a very long time. So let's just look at what I'm going to talk about today. First of all, who am I? Well, that's me. Who laughed? Somebody laughed. That's a bit offensive, Enrico. Oh, I see oh, well. Yes, I don't mind if it's a lady who laughs. I'm an engineer by profession. I'm a qualified engineer, mechanical and electrical engineer. And several years ago, approximately 42 years ago, I was introduced to printing. And I've been involved in it ever since. And I'm a printer now because I love it. It's a wonderful, wonderful industry to be in. But printing to me isn't just printing on paper or printing on board. It's applying a controlled thickness of material to a whole range of different substrates. It's not just printing. There's a lot more to it. And I do a bit of training as well, because I'm enthusiastic, and when you're training someone, if you can be enthusiastic, it helps. You also need to know it a little bit. So, who are my clients? Well, you would say, these people aren't printers. Hoover? admittedly, sadly, who have gone out of business now. BAE Systems, a defense company. Johnson & Johnson, a medical company. Philips, you've heard of Philips, huh? Rexam, Electrolux, United Closures and Plastics, Brother, Samsung, Boots, ITT, Maxell, Harley Davidson. What? A printing company? Yes, they are all printing companies. Johnson & Johnson is probably the biggest printing company in the world. There is a facility in Scotland that produces approximately €1 billion of print every year. What? €1 billion? Yes, €1 billion. They produce, I don't know if anyone has diabetes, but you have to measure your blood regularly, and you put your spot of blood on this little, it looks like a bit like a chip. You put it into a meter, and it says your blood glucose level is a certain level. Those chips sell for $1 a time, all right? And everyone that has to measure their blood glucose level uses it. And Johnson & Johnson produce those by screen printing. The whole thing is screen printed. Right? That is the process that's used to create these sensors. And in the biomedical industry, increasingly printing, digital printing, analog printing, all the various forms of printing are increasingly being used to lay down controlled thicknesses of material. Johnson & Johnson also make contact lenses. They print them. If you want blue eyes, you can have blue eyes. If you want green, you can have green. They'll supply you a printed contact lens. Pop it in. You can have different colors if you like. Why not? Philips Avent, baby feeding bottles. BAE Systems, what? A huge user of print. If you were to put a Challenger tank across where that wall is, and a Challenger tank is about as big as this room, about as long as this room, and you would have a radar transmitter here, it wouldn't see the tank because of, sorry, I've got to go back, because the electronics that are applied to the surface of that tank will hide it from radar. Stealth technology, it's called, and stealth technology is printed. It's printed technology. What else is there just scanning across here? Mobile phones? Yes, we've all got mobile phones. Smartphones, probably the biggest, the most important manufacturing component of a mobile phone is printing. The circuits, the touch screen, it goes on and on. Brother, yes, they were printing their keyboards. I've printed thousands and thousands of keyboards. Drives you mad. But anyway, it's done. Boots, that's a pharmaceutical company. They're printing bottles and the like. I could go on. But what we're seeing here is companies who print, and probably you wouldn't recognize any of them as a printer. All right? These are just some of them, some of my clients. I also deal with point-of-sale printers, with, object printers, and so on. Printing onto paper, printing onto plastic substrate, digitally, screen printing, and tamper printing. That's me. This is also me, because 60 years ago, I was 10 3/4. So do the sum quickly. I'm 71 in January. And when I was 10 3/4, that's how we created type, a monotype, from molten lead. Some of you might have seen it, some of you might not have done. A remarkable machine where a typesetter would create type to print his letterpress, to use in letterpresses. And here, of course, is where we are now, these quite remarkable computers which not just produce a specific type, you can create what you like with it. That's what my school room looked like on the left-hand side. This is what it looks like now. Actually, it's not quite true, because when I started, we had little blackboards and chalk that we used to write. And we had also pens which we dipped into inkwells. Yes, I see people nodding. Yes, yeah. Do you know, I had a guy at school, he used to drink the ink. Very strange character. I think he moved on to something else that he took later on. But anyway, and now it's tablets. My beloved, I call my partner my beloved because she is. She's a teacher, and all her children have got laptops. They haven't got tablets, they've got laptops. She's got a smart screen, you know, and it's quite remarkable how things have changed. Coffee bars, not as you know them, ladies and gentlemen. In Amsterdam, a coffee bar has a different connotation. There's some strange chemicals there, but we used to drink coffee, all right, and talk to people. Do you know, we used to talk to people. We really did. We went out and met people and spoke to them. Now, of course, it's Facebook. People have a whole life on Facebook. A friend of mine has a second life. He is actually on Second Life. He has a whale of a time. I can't tell you what he gets up to, but it's all virtual. Fortunately, he knows the difference between reality and the virtual world. What's this to do with print? We'll find out. What's this to do with you? We'll find out. X-rays, MRI scanners. Huge changes, absolutely huge change. Heard something on the television, on the radio. Radio is much better than television. Much better pictures on the radio. They were talking about Chernobyl, the Russian disaster. And they were saying the perception is that Chernobyl is dreadful around there. You know, very, very dangerous. You can't approach it. Well, if you are on the perimeter of the disaster area, you'll get as much radiation as you'll get from an MRI scanner or CR. I'm sorry, I don't know. This man knows what they're called. Thank you. You get as much radiation from having your brain checked as you will standing outside the plant. The perception, the understanding of what life is about is changed, is twisted by the media. So we get a complete wrong impression. Just as we have some people have a completely wrong impression about the printing industry. Then, of course, the Jaguar, yeah, not bad. I have to admit, it's a nice car. But that's what they were like when I was a kid, you know. A friend of mine had one, sat in the back, wonderful cars. And here, yes, poster painters. Has anyone here ever, do you know people who are still painting signs? Sign writers, real sign writers? Did you meet any? Have you met sign writers in the past? Yes. There's a book published about sign writers. Very interesting. What's it called, you know? Book and a Film. Book and a Film. Oh, right. But look at the change. This is just 60 years. That's how we've evolved. That's how printing, that's how information technology has changed. So where is it going to be in the next 60 years? I don't know. And I'm supposed to tell you. Not that you'll be interested in 60 years' time. I'll be dead, so that's all right. Not my problem. There are some of us here who still be at it, you know? Developments. Okay, what do we think is going to happen? Now, to be quite honest, I give lots of presentations, and I was going to give this purely about screen printing. I need to ask, how many screen printers have we got here? Do we have any? 1, 2, 3? Oh, lots. Isn't that excellent? Good. How many digital printers have we got here? Right. How many digital and screen printers have we got here? That's interesting. That's interesting. That's the secret. The secret is you're not just a printer. There's a lot more to it than that. But let's just look here. These are just some thoughts I've had. Some thoughts. I'll try not to walk too much. A greater use of visible light curing. Why am I saying that? Well, ultraviolet radiation is, it's okay, it's wonderful, but it also has potential dangers. If you get to high levels of UV, you're in trouble. I've worked in companies who use visible light to cure their inks, right? Not ultraviolet, visible light. Right. Extending the curing on other parts of the spectrum. Yes, you know, the curing is carried out with sectors of the electromagnetic spectrum, which means all the stuff that comes from the sun, right? And we use bits of it to cure. We use infrared, which generates heat. We use ultraviolet, which is actually invisible and cool, if it's correct. We use microwaves to cure. We use all different parts of the spectrum. We're talking now about LED curing, and people are getting quite excited about LED curing. What we're doing there is using a smaller part of the spectrum. LEDs create a spectral range which is reduced compared to conventional UV curing. Very good, because they're cold. Not quite cold, sorry, they're cooler. You actually have to cool them. So LED curing is something which is quite good, but maybe not quite as good as people say. You have to very carefully balance the output of the LED lamp, let's call it a lamp, with the chemistry of the inks, so you get a complete cure. It's a good process. Nanotechnology. I can't say I get quite excited about nanotechnology, but it's really interesting. I mean, I have seen mechanical pumps created, I should have brought a picture, which will fit inside a human hair. The pump itself, which consists of the impeller, the thing that rotates, right, and the housing, will actually fit inside a human hair. Can you imagine how small that is? It's created by using nanotechnology. It's also created by 3D printing. I'll speak briefly about that. Reuse of substrates at the end of use. I mean, we cannot continue just chucking stuff away. We cannot continue throwing away plastic, paper, what we create, what we grow. Yes, that's a word. That was a mistake, but actually is the right word. We are taking organic materials which were created millions of years ago, and we're making something, a plastic, a polymer, a fuel, and we're just throwing it away. That actually is unsustainable. Hopefully, nanotechnology, using nanotechnology, we'll be able to create materials that we can rework and reuse. We could do this with simple plastics, but other materials where we're not creating waste every time we make something. Intelligent substrates that can retain projected images. Now, I would have thought this is something Canon is thinking about. If it's not, it should be. Because we're printers, what we do is we apply a pigment to a substrate to create an image. And if we're creating a photograph, we put a series of different colored pigments on to that substrate, and it creates something which looks pretty damn good. I've just bought a Canon Pixma for home. What a fabulous printer that is. fabulous printer, little one, but the quality is wonderful. And I looked at this and I thought, God, I've got that on a piece of coated paper. Why can't I put that on a bicycle? Why can't I put that on, I don't know, a doorknob? Sorry, keeping me moving. Why hasn't somebody thought about a way of creating a polymer which you shine an image on, project an image on, and it creates an image on that polymer? It's called photography, isn't it? So maybe photography will come back again in a different form. It'll be imaging. My friend here is nodding. You've thought about this as well, haven't you? Uh-huh. Well, I have, because I'm a bit nuts, you know. But reality says we do it now. We actually do this with the qubit process, where what we do, we create a transfer which we float on water, and then we push the product through the water and through the transfer that sits on the water, and the transfer forms over the object. And you'll see this a lot used in motor vehicles and other television cabinets. Oh no, not anymore, sorry. But you know, where you want to put an all-over pattern onto an unusual shape, you can do it with the qubit process. Draw it through the water and through the transfer, and the transfer sticks to the object. So it's happening. How about taking that still further, and how about being able to paint something on there and then put a circuit to it, and bingo, it turns into an image? Why not? Why not? People thought that, what was it called, Star Trek was stupid. And they had these communicators, didn't they? You know? And what have we got? We've got communicators. Except mine is better than Captain Kirk's. My communicator. All right? It's a computer. It's a GPS system. All right? It's all sorts of things. It's a projection device. If Captain Kirk, if mine is better than Captain Kirk's, why not something you paint on the wall that you can actually change the image? We're doing it now, really, but it takes longer because you print onto the type of material you were speaking to me about, wallpaper, and you put it up, and if you get fed up with it, you take it down and you put up some more wallpaper. Lots of things are happening. Lots of things. Benefits. You now, ladies and gentlemen, you're saying to yourself, how am I going to survive as a screen printer? You're not. As a screen printer. Unless you print short-run fine art, and there's a market for that. Actually, there's a good market for fine art printing, because most are, I hate the term, giclées. It's not, it's digital printing. Right? It's not a giclée, it's digital printing. If you go into the galleries nowadays and you say, can I have something which is screen print? Oh, it's too difficult, sir. Very expensive. Can't do that, sir. Oh, can't get that. No. Oh, have this. Because he's got his digital printer at the back and he can print it very quickly for you. And there you are. And he sells it to you for €700 and it cost him €7 to print. That's business. He's found a niche market. But as screen printers, if we're going to talk about screen printers, that's becoming a niche. The ability to screen print is becoming a niche, because it ain't easy not to do well, consistently well. And it works rather well with other processes. So if you are selling anything, what you have to do is sell benefits. And if you got more benefits than the competition, you're going to get the order. Now, that isn't necessarily price. And if you sell on price, you're dead. If you do what everyone else does, you're not going to make any money. You'll just slowly go down the pan. Now, and I'm sure there are people here who know quite a lot about lithoprinting. And they know what has happened to the lithoprinting industry because it became a commodity.
You don't know the word lithoprinting. It's offset printing.
Offset printing. Sorry, thank you. Offset printing. When you've got Enrico here to help me out, it's brilliant. Thank you, Enrico. He's used to be. He understands my peculiarities, some of them. Thank God, not all of them. Offset printers know that it became just a commodity. You were selling paper with print on it. Even no matter how well you printed, it was price, 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 price. And to be quite honest, Intergraph were right. There is going to be a large number of redundancies in the print market if they continue just to do one thing, which is lithoprint. Lithoprinters are taking up digital printing. Digital printers are taking up screen printing. Screen printers are taking up digital printing. Screen printers are taking up tamper printing. Some people are flexographic printing. They're using the similar skills, but the method of delivery of the image is different. So you've got to be thinking, what benefits does my company offer that will make me stand out? What will make me different? Different. How can I be different? Not how can I buy another HP blah, blah, or Canon blah, blah, but how can I be different? If you're different, you're going to find a market, as long as that difference isn't, dangerous. But you look at what you're doing and you say, where are the differences? Not where are the common things with other printers and other business people. It's where's the difference. Now, in my simple mind, people are divided into these three categories. Make things happen, watch things happen, and what happened. Now, there aren't any what happens here, because all you guys are in business. You're in the make and watch. You watch and then you make. All right? You make and you watch. Sometimes you say what happened as well. But generally, you're a make and a watch. Otherwise, you wouldn't be sat here. Otherwise, you'd be saying, I'm not going to that meeting. They could tell me nothing there. I know it all. And I have had people stand in front of me and say, no, you can't tell me anything. I've been doing this for 30 years. Really? Is that all? Well, yes, they probably have been doing it for 30 years. But it's not 30 years. It's 30 times 1 year. They've actually got 1 year of experience. They've just done the same thing 30 times. To succeed, you have to be constantly changing. You've got to be, hate the term, moving forward. Ooh, people won't say in the future anymore. They say moving forward. No, it's the future. But you've actually got to be evolving. Continuous improvement. The Japanese stole the idea from the Americans and they called it Kaizen. Or was it the other way around? I'm not sure. Continuous improvement. When we were going around the facility here, which is remarkable, the guy who was showing me, I'm sorry, I don't have the name, he said, we sit together and we look at the things we're doing and we see how can we actually move it, improve it. They're looking constantly to continuously improve the process. So let's try again. Here we are. That's what happens if you're somebody who just watches it. Well, the guy's got his eyes covered. He doesn't watch, you know. It's very easy to do that and say, oh, it doesn't matter. We've been doing this for a long time. It's got to continue. No. You know, things do change, and we all have to change. I'm still changing. Logic. People would say, if you're logical, you're bound to resolve the problem. No, thank you. If that were the case, there would be a lot of people with Asperger's syndrome who would do really well in business. There are a lot of professors with Asperger's syndrome. I have a very good friend who has the syndrome, so I understand it fairly well. There are a lot of professors who have this condition in the autistic spectrum who are absolutely illogical. But they have a terrible problem in life because they are so logical. They're actually right. Society's wrong, they're right, which means they can't live in society or find it very difficult to manage it. There are tremendous opportunities in a company. Now, if I had time, I could bore you silly on innovation. I wouldn't bore you silly. Trust me, I wouldn't. But we could talk just about innovation. But I've used a different word today, rather than 2 words. And this guy is the guy who, do you know, I really admire. I'm not somebody that admires people, to be quite honest. I don't think somebody's special. I just think they're people. You know, everyone's the same. Just people. But this guy, Professor Ken Richardson, please try and remember it, the name, Professor Ken Richardson, and look him up on YouTube. This guy talks about education. Professor Ken Richardson, right? He talks about education. He says, we teach literacy, we teach numeracy, but we don't teach creativity. What we do in the education system is we crush creativity. A child comes into school with an amazing imagination. You know, they'll have arguments with the wall because there's somebody there. And they've got a whole, you know, we all know, you've had children, you've been children yourselves, if you can remember. And you had friends who didn't exist, but they did in your mind, you know, and you had concepts, you had ideas. And creativity is actually how we're really going to get into the future and survive. We have to think creatively about everything we do, about how we run our businesses. Creativity, absolutely crucial. And you don't have to be a young person to be creative. Us old buggers can be creative as well. You don't know what buggers means, thank you. Us old ones can be creative as well, all right? It's a tremendous driver. It's actually taking the fear out of change. Because most of us are terrified of change at one level. I know I have some blocks on some things. Oh, it's a nightmare. Once you get through it, you've made that change, you're away. Professor Ken Richardson, just find him, listen to him. A remarkable guy, quite remarkable, talks about creativity, talks about education. And listening to him, I'm thinking this is what my philosophy is in business. But he talks about in education, which of course is really important. Creativity, innovation. As I say there, in 5 years, life will be different. But we don't know how different. We just know it's going to be different. We have to accept it's going to be different. And we have to prepare for the difference. And if possible, we make a difference. We make a difference in our companies, with our staff. Do you know, when you employ somebody, you get the brain for free. You employ a person with hands and eyes, they've got a brain. Use it. Ask them. Talk to them. If they're doing the job day in, day out, they've got lots of ideas, and they might be frustrated because the boss won't listen. Listen. Use the brain. Use the brains of the whole company. Have brainstorming sessions. Talk to them. Do you know, when I go into a company to train in screen printing or digital printing, tamper printing, it's the first time often that these people have sat round a table and talked about the process. So I would have maybe the managing director there, an assistant printer there, a printer, production manager, a whole group of people. And they're looking and they're talking, and why? And the quality, you get the quality people in there. My God, quality people. Everything's wrong. It's rubbish. Well, come on, fellas. Let's be constructive about this. Let's see it from the other side. Let's talk about it. Let's be creative in how we discuss problems, how we discuss opportunities. Because there's a huge range of opportunities out there because we don't know what it's going to be like. So there's an opportunity. If you knew that you were going to be wearing the same blazer every day, mind you, I have to because I can't afford to. It's tough being a consultant. I saw some smiles there. All right, I've got to. But if you knew things were going to be the same every day, then you could do the same thing every day. And you could be in the same mindset every day. Give yourself a chance of taking a risk. It doesn't have to be a huge risk, just start thinking in a different way if you possibly can. Talk to your people. Talk to the people who work for you. They will understand. They will understand your needs probably better than you do. Talk to them. Right. This is an extraordinary statistic. 50% of everything taught in medical school is proven to be wrong 15 years later. That's a bit of a, again, if you're on chemotherapy, isn't it? You know? And that happens. That happens. A friend of mine has a form of cancer, and they've changed the chemotherapy. The first one wasn't working. It was wrong. Now they've got a new one, and it's really working quite well. 50% of everything taught at at medical school is proven to be incorrect at 15 years. And then this other little thing. There's a brilliant program on BBC called QI. It's quite interesting. It's a game show, really, or a panel show, where the chairman asks questions of, what's the biggest elephant in the world? Or, it's not the question, but, things like that. Questions, facts. And what they've done over I think we've been on television now for about 15 years, and they've plotted the answers given 15 years ago and through the years, and they have seen the change. And they have statistical evidence that 7% of the facts are proven to be wrong in 12 months. Which means you're told something in all sincerity and it's wrong the moment it leaves their mouths. Right?
Is that what you mean? Or do you mean in 12 months' time the world has evolved so much that the fact that was true 12 months ago is wrong now?
Yes. But also someone's perception, at this moment I'm saying, yes, well, flour is a great explosive medium. Actually it is, but you can power rockets on it. Somebody believes that, presumably, or the earth is flat. Some people took a lot longer to understand the difference, that it is maybe a little bit round. But we're getting more facts all the time. All right? So it doesn't mean 7% of everything you know is wrong, because you're getting more and more information. And the more you know and the more information you draw in, the less damaging is this 7%. But if you don't continuously relearn the topics or study the topics and see what is changing, if you don't keep up with these changes, you really are going to be 7% worse off in the knowledge stakes in 12 months' time. Bit scary, really. That first one, 50% of all things taught at medical school. Is it falling off? Yes. Nearly finished, don't worry. Screen printing is different. That's what I was going to talk about, wasn't it? Screen printing is different. Screen printing is challenging. Screen printing is profitable. Now, my friend from Canon might not be so keen to hear this, but this is a fact. All right? In the UK, it's you again, isn't it? It's all right. You're both as bad as each other. In the UK, we have some very large point-of-sale companies. Augustus Martin, DS Smith, my brain's gone, Delta, etc. They sell 20, 30, 50, 100 million pounds worth of point-of-sale every year, right? That's the sort of size they are. Two of these people have said to me, I want to get rid of those blooming screen printing machines. He said, I really like this digital technology because it's far less problems. I want to get rid of screen printing. Well, why don't you? He said, because it makes more profit than digital printing. It's as simple as that. We make more money. The digital printing, people can buy it from all over the place, but we screen print. And they're actually investing in new equipment. I can't tell you who it is, but they are. Buying new wide format or large format screen printing equipment because they want to have that difference from the people who are coming into the market. And they're buying, quite rightly, digital printing machines because they're wonderful. Wonderful. Speed's a bit slow, but they're still wonderful. The quality's superb, relatively straightforward to run the process. If you screen print, you have to know what you're doing. I'm happy to teach you, but that costs money. But if you screen print, then there's a difference. If you pad print, what pad print? Why? Tiny objects. Yes, but you can sell them. And you can provide service for them. Litho printing? Yes. If you can print large format litho, you have to invest a lot of money in the kit, but you marry the different processes together and you create an offering, which means you could set yourself apart from the opposition. You can be different. So combine the processes. Right. And what processes are there? Now, I was sitting at the back, and as I couldn't understand anything, I was just typing some processes in. Digital printing, screen printing, offset printing, 3D printing. I'll come back to that. Finishing, logistics, design, innovation, construction, building, cardboard engineering, creativity. You guys in the print industry are immensely creative. You have to be. You're good at marketing too. Management information systems, finance, entrepreneurship, business management, managing change. These are all things you do that you take for granted, but they're actually really useful. I mean, if I look back when I started a printing business, which was 40 years ago, I knew nothing. I made a lot of money because everyone knew nothing at the time. It was really fairly easy to make money then. It's not anymore. You've got to have all these skills. Well, if you are in the business, if you are business people already, which most of you are, then you've got a head start on looking for the new opportunities so you can create the difference. 3D. Ladies and gentlemen, it's not printing. 3D printing is not printing. It really annoys me when people call it printing. It's additive manufacturing. All right? That's what it is. It's additive manufacturing. But people are, in the press, in the printing press, they're talking about it as if no, it's not. It's creating objects using a deposition process, or not even a deposition process. I mean, Boeing make titanium components using 3D printing, but they hit a titanium powder with lasers, and they create objects from the inside, which is wonderful. So you create a skeleton and then create the outside. So if you've got a hinge or some sort of a support, you can make it equally strong as something which is of solid titanium, but much, much lighter. I know you're looking. I'm nearly finished. I'm being pushed. I'm sorry, I'm boring you. He's obviously... So 3D printing, yeah, yes, maybe. I'm not saying no, don't get involved, but remember, it's not printing. If you feel it will fit into what you do and would be a useful fit, because you have to understand software, you have to understand design, that's the key to it. You have to understand engineering as well. You have to understand mechanics, and maybe physics and other things. But if you feel it fits or can move you into another area, then by all means look at it. But to get the really effective additive manufacturing equipment is a lot of money. Hundreds of thousands of pounds. Don't be fooled by what you see on the YouTube, which is £1,000 worth of 3D printers. They're not. I don't know what's next. Let's see. Here we are. And that's the other amazing quality you all have, survival. Because it's been tough, and it still is. I mean, my friend and I have lived through some quite difficult times in business, but this undoubtedly has been the worst, other than probably the Great Depression, which I didn't live through. But this is something where we were fundamentally wrong in how we ran the economy. And we guys and the people outside suffered as a result. If you come through and you've survived, that's another difference. That's something else that is special. So you're not just a printer. You're a business person. You run a business. Printing is a tool. It's just a tool. Yes, I know we get emotional about it. But in reality, it's a way of making money and do business to make money. That's what you do. Don't think, I am a screen printer, or I am a digital printer, or I am a print. You're a business person, and you've gone through all the troubles of the last few years. You've gained all that experience. You're still here. You're survivors, and what we want in industry is survivors and fighters. Those are the key essentials for success. Be different. Thank you.